Welcome back to another session. I hope you are well. This is going to be a brief and a short session, in keeping with the tradition of uh, providing content and value. Despite my prior commitments, which unfortunately clashes with what I would have wanted to do today, I thought it would be important to still come forward with a conversation for the day. I'm going to build on what I covered in the previous session. In the session that I covered previously, I discussed the importance of men, and I said, men, you are special. In today's session, I'm going to provide a twist. Men, you are responsible. Now, this was inspired shortly after I finished recording the previous session in speaking with my beloved, and she said to me, someone that we both are aware of or know of, that the person is amongst the top earners on OnlyFans. She's a female. And I said, interesting. And as we spoke about other issues, I came back to the whole OnlyFans conversation. And it occurred to me, at the core, I see myself as what you would call a classical liberal, someone who believes in voluntary exchange, without force, threat, or coercion. And if two people come together and there is an agreement for an exchange, within what we consider to be our moral codes of conduct and norms and ethics and all of that, I'm all for it. From an economic perspective, I am a classical liberal, but I am also someone who believes in the importance of certain traditions, and therefore I might not consider myself to be a liberal with regards to matters relating to traditions and culture, in which case I tend to prefer the pathway of conserving certain things. I think women should be empowered. And I'm going to cover perhaps a whole series of sessions about OnlyFans and this pathway that most young women are choosing. I think women should be empowered and they should be free to choose. I believe that strongly. I think it's also important that there is a message to enable women, young women particularly, understand how to make choices and understand that there are no solutions. Whilst money might be seen as the solution to a challenge or struggle you might be facing, you're only making a trade-off. Your choices will come with constraints, costs, consequences, and therefore you're only making a trade-off. And for some reason, no one is telling women that to make that trade-off, you have to think not just from a one-dimensional perspective, despite the appetite and the excitement that comes with the benefits in the short term. Think about the long term. In any case, today's session is not about OnlyFans or women. What it is, however, is that on the other side of the table are men who are exchanging and parting their money to satisfy a desire that some of these women have. I don't get to dictate what men should do with their time and their resources. However, I think men are responsible. The reason being, and I go back to something that forms part of my moral code. In the very early books of antiquities, we talk about two people, Adam and Eve. The key part of the conversation or story that I want to draw your attention to is whether you believe in the story or not, there's a lesson to be learned from there. There was an apple, there was a tree. At the moment where there was you might say, a choice made by both parties to go against the instructions given to them in that garden, the person who gave the instruction did not come back to the woman and say, what have you done? The instruction was given to the man, and therefore the responsibility fell on the man. And that forms the basic tenets of what I'll be covering over the next few sessions about how men should recognize that they are responsible. The man is responsible because we are the foundation stone. And if we do not build with good stones, the foundation is no longer secure. Men should understand that in all aspects of life, we are responsible. The word husband comes from the word house bond, someone who bounds the house together. In a relationship, when things fail, I hold the man responsible. I don't hold the woman responsible. In a relationship, in dating, that's a different matter. But in a relationship, recognizing that he is responsible for the vision and the purpose, I hold him responsible. Now, why do I say men are responsible? Well, because We are the ones upon which society is formed. Now, I don't disagree with the attack on masculinity in the past 40, 50 years. I don't disagree with that. But I think a time has come when young men have to grow up, have to step forward, and have to start behaving like adults with a moral code, with a philosophy that guides and underguards the entire community. I would say as follows: irrespective of whether you're subscribing to OnlyFans or not, irrespective of whether you are fulfilling your potential or not, irrespective of whether you're being successful in your career, profession, education or not, you are responsible. When society fails, we look towards the men. When society prospers, we look towards the men. Every man plays a part. And so as you think of this short session I'm covering today, think about yourself and think about your family and think about your community and think about the people who look towards you. And irrespective of how young or old you might be, you are responsible. And it's important to take that responsibility as something to be guarded and taken seriously. Now, I'm going to stop in today's session, and as I come back in tomorrow, I'm going to build on this whole theme of responsibility. I hope today's session has been useful.